Good afternoon. It is June 17th, 2021. We're here with an update on potential Tropical Cyclone 3 that is located over the central Gulf of Mexico here. And it continues to be our unblessed mess that is gradually trudging northward towards the northern Gulf Coast. And as always, I'm not an official meteorologist. No weather YouTuber is, except for Levi Cowan. He works for the JTWC. But you should always refer to the National Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service for all official information regarding your area. This is just a big picture video discussing the storm, not where you live. So, let's get right into it. Here we have our mess of a system known as potential Tropical Cyclone 3. And really, this is not organized in a substantial way over the past 24 hours. You still have this blob of spin with temporarily concentrated parts that are coming out of the convection that manage to briefly spin up, and you essentially have a glorified trough here. And recon has gone into this, and we have winds coming out of the south-southwest on the southeastern side, and then that turns around to the east, and then to the south, and then maybe generously out of the northwest here. So you have a trough axis, and there are no westerly winds. This is a very broad and loosely defined system. In the lower levels, it's actually tighter in the mid-levels, which is pretty sad. This is where the mid-level circulation is, and you can see that there's actually some spin in the mid-levels, but where the recon is investigating is right here, and yeah, not really looking too great if you're trying to see a tropical cyclone develop out of this. And this is likely to continue, and it may be able to develop a surface circulation. The National Hurricane Center has designated this as a potential tropical cyclone because of the impacts that it will be having upon the Louisiana coastline. And it's still up in the air about whether or not this actually does develop. It probably will. I'd say it has the chances that the National Hurricane Center are giving it right now, which is an 80-90% chance of tropical cyclone development. And it probably will develop a loose, low-level feature at some point that is considered enough to be designated. So this is not going to be an organized system. We talked about how maybe the upper level trough would take a dent and would move to the west and back away due to the thunderstorm activity pushing flow out of the east. This has not happened, and the upper level trough is actually situated right over all the lower level action here. And you can see this trough axis defined here, and you have dry air associated with the backside of this trough, and moist air being forced upward along with the divergent flow on the front side of the trough. This is normal for upper level features. There's forcing for ascent on the eastern side as it comes to the west, and to the east, and you have all this rising air on the leading side, and then you have all the sinking air on the back side of the trough. And so this is kind of funneling in some dry air here. You can see this blob of dry air, or darker grays, on the water vapor satellite imagery, and this is not good for a organized system to develop. And this trough will likely remain pretty close to our system here for the remainder of its life, and there's not ever going to be a time where this is able to really be in a lighter pocket of shear. There's still going to be a lot of westerly flow over the system and the predominant flow here is still out of the southwest, and that will displace all the convection away from the lower level feature that you're seeing on visible satellite here. And this will likely never be able to really organize. It does not have enough time anymore to really substantially organize into a cyclone that is particularly noteworthy in the wind department. And that is good because we're already going to be dealing with a lot of heavy rainfall. As you can see, there is a lot of moisture here that is going to get pushed north along with the lower level feature that is going to eventually come northward here into southern Louisiana and maybe southeastern or southwestern Louisiana. Somewhere along the Louisiana coast, this low-level feature will make landfall. And wherever it makes landfall will not really play too much of a part in terms of the impacts here, because you're already dealing with the very widespread area of moisture that is just going to come northward here. You're essentially placing this circle over the entire deep south. And whether or not it comes ashore in southwest Louisiana or, south central Louisiana or southeastern Louisiana or even, Mississippi or Alabama, that largely just determines where the most intense rainfall is. But this is going to be so widespread, the wind or the rainfall is going to be so widespread. If we go to the precipitation, our total accumulated precipitation here, you can see that this is just a widespread rainfall threat here along the deep south. You have a widespread area of over an inch of rain and maybe some pockets of higher totals, especially along wherever a training band would form. Because if we look at the visible satellite imagery, you can see there's like pockets of stronger convection here. There's some convection right here. There's some stronger convection right here. And if one of these bands is able to sit over a certain area for an extended period of time, then you would likely see some higher rainfall totals than the overall average rainfall total that you see here, which is essentially above 2 inches, maybe 2 to 7 inches of rain somewhere in this very large swath of rain here that will be associated with our system. There's also a little bit of coastal flooding that is of concern here. If we go back to when this is making landfall, you can see this very large fetch of southerly wind that is anywhere from 30 to 45 miles per hour being brought north. 45 may be a little generous for the system, but this will likely have some coastal impacts regarding coastal flooding on the eastern side. As for southwest Louisiana and southeast Texas, there will likely not be as much rain on the western side of the system, and so southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana will likely miss out on most of the heavy weather related to the system, and maybe we'll have a little bit of rain in southwest Louisiana, maybe 2 inches at most here, I think, because most of the rain again will be displaced to the east here in this general vicinity. And that is essentially what we're concerned about. We're not really concerned about winds. This is not a wind threat at all, really. It would be lucky if it got past 40 miles per hour. And this is a mess and will remain a mess. This is not a powerful system that you really need to be battening down the hatches for. You just need to be watching for flash flood warnings, and you're already under a flash flood watch here in southern Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama, and that will, if you are under a flash flood warning, be sure to not be driving and avoid low-lying areas. You know the drill, turn around, don't drown. And if you're on a coastal community, please do listen to your local authorities for any official information regarding where you live and if there will be any coastal flooding in your area. So stay safe. This is not going to be any prettier than what it looks like right now on satellite imagery, and thankfully this is not something that is very, very serious that people need to be taking, with a lot of caution. You still do have to have caution with these systems because of the rainfall threat and the overall heavy weather threat that they present. And there may be also some tornadoes that form along the coast because of the land friction of the flow that is generally trying to turn, and then you have the land friction pushing against that, and so you could create some brief bands of tornadoes that will not be super strong, but definitely be watching for that. It doesn't really take a lot for a tornado to do serious damage. So do be watching for that as well, along with flash flooding and maybe some coastal flooding. And overall, this is going to be a pretty breezy and wet day along the the northern Gulf Coast. And this is going to probably come ashore Saturday, and it's just the effects will be there long before then. Probably Friday evening, you'll start to get rain, and really just stay safe and always refer to your local officials and your local National Weather Service office for all the latest information. And do not listen to whatever weather YouTuber is being alarmist or has a clickbait title. Direct weather. So, yeah, just pay attention to all your government officials for any information regarding this system. That's all I got for now. Thanks for watching.